Let's take you live to the Hunter Valley now. Here's Anthony Albanese.
For day after day, month after month, year after year, where Josh Frydenberg spoke about Liddell and keeping it open when the decision was made to shut Liddell on their watch, when there was no new coal-fired power stations created and around the country, of course, closure occurred. Without planning for a transition, without planning for what happens next. What we know is that if we seize the opportunities, Australia is positioned better than any country in the world. We have the best solar resources in the world up above us, and they're free. We have some of the best wind resources. We have also the best human resources. Australia has been world leading at innovation. PV solar, created at places like the University of New South Wales, the Australian National University, has seen the breakthroughs that have led the world. But we have not been good at commercialising those opportunities. We've created the innovation and then seen all the value being added offshore. And today we have around about 90% of the world's solar panels produced in just one country. China, and then exported to around the world. We missed the opportunities. We are not going to miss the opportunities of this generation. And that is what our support is about. That's the role of ARENA and the Clean Energy Finance Corporation and other institutions that were created by the former Labor government, that the former government that I replaced sought to abolish year after year. Because we have that in place, because we have a minister with vision in Chris Bowen and a minister who's absolutely committed to manufacturing here in Australia in Ed Husick, and we have local members like Dan Repicoli who understand what is needed in these local communities. And we're working with state governments. It must be said, we worked with the former state government here in New South Wales as well. It's only Peter Dutton and the Liberals who have a view that somehow this should be a site for a nuclear reactor under their policy. We can have a nuclear reactor in decades' time if you can find anyone who'll finance it, which you can't, which means that nothing happens, as nothing happened for the last decade. Or you can seize the opportunities which are there. We have the highest per capita use of solar panels on roofs of any country in the world. But of all of those, about 1% of them are made in Australia. I know how hard it is. I sought out, as did Minister Bowen, to make sure that the panels on my roof in Marrickville are Australian made. It's difficult. We want to make it easier. And these panels, this technology that SunDrive has developed, is the most efficient in the world. Why wouldn't you take that opportunity and pair it with AGL's vision that they have, with my government's commitment, with the New South Wales government's commitment to manufacture more things here, whether it's solar panels or train carriages or ferries, or other goods that are used here in New South Wales, and have a future made right here in Australia. And that's what the $1 billion Sunshot program is about. Following on from our $2 billion Hydrogen Head Start program. A vision for Australia that sees renewable energy powering advanced manufacturing here to produce more in Australia. Powered by clean energy, positioning ourselves to be a renewable energy superpower for the world. That's my government's vision. Clean, cheap energy, making more things here, skilling up young Australians and retraining Australians as well for the jobs of the future. And that's why yesterday as well we introduced into the Parliament our Net Zero Authority legislation. Our Net Zero Authority that will work with unions and business and local communities on the transition to make sure that we don't leave people behind, but far from it, that we seize the opportunity for even more jobs which are secure, which are high paid, as part of our commitment to see workers paid more and also to keep more of what they earn through our tax cuts going to every single Australian taxpayer. That's very much my government's vision for our economy going forward. It's a positive vision. It's one which shapes the future in Australia's national interests, not leaves us vulnerable to shocks from international circumstances beyond our control. That's why I applaud the work that Minister Bowen has done in putting together this program, in working with the private sector, in working with agencies to make sure that today's announcement that will see more jobs on this site than were here under the former power stations operations. More jobs, more security, better pay, stronger local economies, stronger regional economic development. That's what my government's about, and this announcement today is, I think, one of the most significant that will be made during our term, and I'm very proud to be a part of it today.
Well, thank you, Prime Minister, and this is a great day for the hunter and a great day for our country. We've heard the Prime Minister say many times he wants a future made in Australia. And today we are making a big step to make that a reality. Not the first step, not the last step, but a very big step. Today we're announcing Solar Sunshot, our new program to support the manufacturing of solar panels, solar cells, solar modules and associated infrastructure here in Australia. We used to have an Australian-made solar panel industry in Sydney. It closed many years ago. It's time to get it back. We've put many millions of solar panels on our roofs over the last few years. We have to put another 60 million on in the next 6 years. And as the Prime Minister said, only 1% of those have been made in Australia. That ends today. So in detail, the Solar Sunshot program is $1 billion of support, very similar to our Hydrogen Head Start program we announced last year. $1 billion of support run through ARENA, our Australian Renewable Energy Agency, providing production credits for people who will make solar manufacturing, solar panels in Australia and associated infrastructure. We'll be progressing that very quickly, and we are very keen to see that support flow this year. Now, I want to give a shout out, of course, to Damien from AGL and Vince from SunDrive for today's announcement. As the Prime Minister said, taking steps today to see more people employed in this just one announcement. There's many more announcements to come for this site, but in just this announcement, more people employed than were employed at the Liddell Power Station. You hear a lot of doom and gloom saying this transition is terrible. Well, it's hard, but there are massive opportunities in it as well. Massive opportunities for the types of people we see standing behind us. I just want to give a shout out to other companies that are here today. To Richard Pedersen from Tindo. The Prime Minister mentioned that both he and I have Tindo solar panels, Australian-made solar panels in our houses. It was hard to do. Tindo held the flame alive during the last decade or so of Australian manufacturing, and they'll also, I know, be very keen to participate in Solar Sunshot. David Griffin from 5B that rolls out solar panels very quickly on mining sites. They'll also be able to participate in the Solar Sunshot program. Both Australian companies that have been manufacturing in Australia, and we want to see them make more things in Australia for longer, as we welcome SunDrive making the most efficient solar panel in the world here on this site. And as Vince said, that's possible because of the announcement that we're making and the announcement that the Minns Labor government is making today as well. So also a shout out to my friend and partner Ed Husick. In 2024, good energy policy is good industry policy. The same thing. And this sort of announcement isn't possible without whole of government efforts and the Industry Minister and the Energy Minister working hand in glove under the leadership of the Prime Minister. And of course, the leadership of the New South Wales government with the announcement that Courtney is making today of New South Wales government support for New South Wales solar panel manufacturing, which has enabled Vince and Damien to make the announcement they're making today. So I think Damien and Vince and Courtney and I have been propping up Telstra's profits for the last couple of months with all the phone calls between us bringing today's announcement together. And it's an effort well worth it, because the world's climate emergency is Australia's jobs opportunity, and under the Albanese government it's an opportunity we are seizing. We are grabbing that opportunity. Opportunities come along and they can pass you by. But under this Prime Minister, we grab that opportunity to be a renewable energy superpower, and not just make renewable energy in Australia, but to make the things that make renewable energy in Australia. So it's a proud day, particularly, Vince, an idea which started in your back garage, 2 uni students working together under the leadership of Professor Martin Green, who is a hero for Australian manufacturing. The modern solar panel was invented in Australia at the University of New South Wales and the Australian National University. They are in roofs around the world, but they're not made here. That ends today. We start taking that Australian ingenuity and we make it in Australia, and we make it here on the Liddell site.